Hi everybody, welcome to the dungeon. My name is Robin and today is Flameworking 102.22. Today I have a fun double feature for you all. I'm going to be making two different types of flower buds. These are perfect if you've been looking to get out of those round, smooth bead shapes. If you want to get a little bit more sculptural, this is a great starting point. These are perfect for jewelry, brooches, pendants. You can even get really crazy and make a small flower arrangement or even a big bouquet with these. Without further ado, let's get right into it. As always, I hope you're all doing safe and well out there. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time in the dungeon. All right, I'm going to start this one out. I'm making the simpler one first. Okay, I'm going to start this out by heating up about an inch worth of my mandrel, getting it nice and warm so my glass doesn't bubble or boil when I put it on. And I'm using a bubblegum pink here, and I only have a 4mm rod size, so it's going to take a second for me to build this up. I am also doing this pretty much in real time because it only takes like 7 minutes to make one of these. And what I'm doing here is I'm just getting my glass, building it up a little bit on one side, and then I'm tapering it off to about a 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to walk it back up to the other side and build up a little bit more there on the back and cast away. And what I'm left over with is kind of a flower bud shape. And no matter how you decide to, build up your glass, this is kind of the shape you're going for. Of course, you can make it a little longer, a little wider, whatever suits you. So I'm just going to warm this up a little bit to smooth it out, and that is the center of our flower bud. Okay, so now we're going to place our leaves on here, or our petals. And I'm using a 7mm gold ruby, and the size of this is great. So what I'm doing here is I'm heating it up, a good pea size amount. And then I'm waiting just a few seconds for the glass to cool down before I actually apply it. I want total control over this glass as I push and pull, and then I will cast off right when the pink part underneath tapers. That's where I want to cast off each one of these petals. And it happens kind of naturally as you pull it across the bead. So this rod is going to give me about 5 petals. Of course, you can add more or less depending on how large the center of the flower bud is. And you want to very gently just push and then go straight across. So the petals kind of have slightly straight lines, and each one is kind of touching itself as you add them. All right, now if you're having issues with your flower petals or the tips of them are not looking exactly the way you want to, you can always add a little bit more or take away a little bit more. So let me show you how I would do that. So if I want to take away a little bit, I will heat the tip of each one, and then with a kind of a cool rod, I will grab and pull a little bit away outside of the flame. And then I'll just cut it off at the lowest area that I can. Now, if you want to add a little bit, then get a little bit of ball, a little glass hot, and add it to it. But pretty much that's it. Now I'm going to turn everything around and put some little leaves on here. And I'm using a multicolor green thick stringer. And I'm just going to heat up a little bit, apply it to the bottom, and I'm doing a push and kind of a pulling off method here. Just kind of a swipe. So if you're used to swiping glass onto a bead, this should be easy for you to do. And you can do it more than once. Give yourself some practice. These beads don't take that long to make, so you should be able to get really good at these fairly quick. a little sloppy there on the last one. And with the leaves, I definitely want to take those little tiny, the balls off of the tips here, just to give them a little bit more of a point. So I'll heat each one up individually and just grab it with my cool rod and pull like a little thin hairline stringer away, and that just kind of removes that tip there. And that's pretty much it for this one. I love these. They look great when you have like a good cluster of them, and they also look great with the next flower bud coming up. So here is our gold ruby pink little flower bud, the first one. Okay, ready for the second one. Now this one is going to be a little longer, a little bit more detailed. And I'm going to start out the same way. Make sure your rod is nice and warm. And then with this one, I'm going to make it a little longer. I'm going to wrap my mandrel about an inch up on itself. This one I did speed up a little bit. The running time for this bead takes about 15 minutes. Now once that is kind of cool, I'm going to wrap it one more time. And I'm doing the same thing as I'm doing with the first one. I'm building up the back side a little bit more than the front side. So I'm going for like a flower bud shape. And here I'm just going to heat everything in and get to that final shape. I don't want to overheat the very tip and get it real sharp. I want to kind of try to keep it rounded there. So there's our final shape for the center of our flower bud here. It's kind of a pear shape. And what I want to do here at the bottom, I don't know what was going on with my green stringer cane here, but it must have had some bubbles in it. Either way, what I'm trying to do is just wrap a little bit of glass on the base, and then I will roll it onto my torch head there, because if it didn't quite touch the bead, so this kind of helps to shape it and to make sure that it is indeed touching the bead. All right, and that's all I'm going to do there. And now what I want to do is just start to get the pattern going. Okay, so same color glass, and I'm going to start out by adding a kind of a stripe, but it immediately turns into a curve. And that it's going to curve around the top of the bead just a little bit. And I'm just drawing it on there, making sure that my glass is nice and hot when I do that. So I get a good amount of glass hot and I just kind of stretch it on and then give the glass a little bit more heat and come out of the flame and do my little final twist around the top. And that little bit of the top twist should start the taper of your glass, and then you can just taper it off at the top. So we do that 3 times. And you can take a little bit off that top if you want to at the end. And this is pretty much how everything is going to start. Like this is it. Now what I want to do is soften the back end where those now petals are, going into the bottom part. Let it cool down for a second, and then I'm going to add another stripe of color. And the reason why I'm doing this several times is to build up that form, and also because I am still working with this 4mm rod here. So I want it to be a little bit more than just one swipe of glass can give me, or one stretch or pull, or whatever you want to call this. So I'm adding another line of color on every one of those, and I'm going to do it one more time. And this is how it should look right now. I love the way that top is starting to twist in on itself. Okay, just 2 of those. Okay, so now finally, what I want to do is add a stripe of the cranberry pink right on top of it. And I just am going to follow that form nice and gentle. And I am, again, working underneath the flame. I'm not in the flame. I want to make sure that nothing melts too much. And then what I want to do is just heat that up and come in with some tweezers if you want to, and just kind of tweeze it a little bit to kind of thin it out, lift it up. All right, now I'm going to do that again. I start nice and low, and then I just very gently am heating the stringer up right on the side, right on the edge of the flame. And then some of the tugging is done outside of the flame, so you're really, working on those, your heat skills here. Okay, now I'm going to heat that up and go ahead and pinch that in a little bit. Using these tweezers, you really don't have to do this part, but I'd like to show it because if you want to, put some little crimps in that area, you can do that too. Okay, and this is our last one. I'm just going to apply it. And again, always keep my bead under the flame. I'm only heating up the stringer part here. And I'm just going to pull that off because I noticed it was touching the other one. All right, that looks good. So now I'm going to finish by just pinching this part a little bit, shaping it. And I want to make sure that those little, these little petals are pushed into the top here. So I'm kind of finishing off these little twists here at the top by heating and pushing them in with my tungsten pick. All right, so that is it for adding the petal glass. But what's going to make it look really nice is when we go and heat that bottom half up, and then just take the pink rod and just kind of pull those larger areas off and get them to taper into the glass. It'll make it look a little bit more realistic. So it's just nice heat, and make sure you're heating where you want it to go. And then as you pull it off, go back into the flame to, kind of take that stringer away. And then I'm just going to heat up that bottom part where those came out and just flatten them a little bit. And that's it. I'm just going to soften everything up and get ready to put the leaves on. Okay, so with this one, it's exactly the same as the first one. I'm going to get a nice little gather of glass on the stringer, and then just kind of swiping and pulling with the glass in the flame to elongate it. So I'm going to get some glass hot, add it, get in the flame, and then start to swipe and pull away. So I'm in the flame as I move the glass, and then when I'm ready for the petal to be done, that's when I'll go inside the flame. Hopefully you know what I mean. Okay, that is it for our second petal, and I just think this looks amazing. So I hope you do too, and I hope you give this a try if you're interested in it. And if not, I hope you enjoyed. So thanks for everything, and I will see you next time in the dungeon.